Hello, this is Reggie Young. I'm here with Seth Hurd from Brand Expand, very, very powerful launch software. So, Seth, if you could just take a quick minute to explain a little bit about who you are, how you got started, and what Brand Expand is.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me on, Reggie. I appreciate that. Yeah, really quick. So, Brand Expands, I created it as a third-party seller. I grew a business, started in 2015, grew it to 7 figures, and exited last year. And during the process, I saw an opportunity to create a really good launch solution for third-party sellers. So, basically, getting external traffic and driving it to their product listing is very, very important, especially when you get to the 7 figure plus. And there run a lot of companies doing it very well. They're either really, really expensive or not doing it in a very compliant way. And so there's a big opportunity there to find a good way to grab that traffic and get it to sellers' listings. And so we started more as a consulting agency, kind of helping doing this on the side, networked with a lot of MDS sellers, $1 million sellers, and really it was just referral based in the beginning. And as we grew, we got to a point where we kept capping out our bandwidth. So we could only do about 30 to 40 concurrent launches at a time. And so we were turning clients away. So naturally, the software was this solution to scale. So we started software development in 2019, and then it took 2 years to develop. So in December of 19, we released it. And this year we've been getting clients on and adding new features to the software. We got a lot of exciting features coming up, a lot of new ways to launch products and to drive external traffic in a compliant way. And it's also omni-channel. So it's not just for Amazon. We see a pretty large migration to Walmart as well. There's only, about 10 to 20% of the traffic out of Walmart, but it's increasing. And so we see a lot of opportunity there as well. So we drive traffic to e-commerce listings across all these different channels. Walmart, Target, Etsy, eBay, Amazon, and literally any other channel you can think of. We have a manual import option for your product. So you can drive traffic to Chewy.com, to Home Depot, to iHerb. Like there's all these other sites you could drive traffic to. So we essentially help third party sellers get external traffic to the product listings.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So I started around the same time, 2015 as well. And the first time I tried to drive traffic to my Wix store, was running Facebook ads and thought, oh, I just, spend a budget, do like some basic targeting, and I'll get a bunch of signups. And I realized like after $500 of ad spend that nobody was converting at all. Right. So as we think about like driving external traffic and how important that's going to be right now in the current state of Amazon, especially now with rising, doubling PPC costs post COVID, it becomes more important as a brand is expanding and growing, like you said, at that 7 figure level to kind of drive that external traffic. And when I was doing Amazon kind of like in the beginning and starting to actually get some traction going on the in the space, a lot of people were building out, a network of systems and buyers to kind of help expand into different channels and get a launch up and moving. And I found it for myself to be, like you said, extremely expensive. There weren't that many type of services out there. They it- the cost per like order was extremely expensive, and there was no flexibility. Right, there was like, hey, this is the direct to one channel. This is the only link you can use, and we can only do it on this day. And the you had no idea who the buyer pool was. You couldn't really trust the people behind the scenes. And one thing I really liked, like what you just said, is about the network from MDS. And like if people aren't familiar with MDS, it's the $1 Million Summit or sellers, and they have like a really big network of high level e-commerce entrepreneurs. You have to have a trailing 12 months of 7 figures to even be considered into the mastermind. So uh, to kind of like build a service, incubate it, and scale it from that base, I think is absolutely, absolutely powerful because it comes from people who know what they're doing in a sustainable way. And I think that's absolutely critical for anyone kind of considering, trying to expand just beyond Amazon as we look at becoming more omni-channel. So if you could maybe talk a little bit about like how you see like Amazon's terms of service and POS just in general on these search engines right now and in the future? Do you see like some kind of like evolution? Do you kind of see it continue to get more restrictive? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So I always tell sellers, you have to think of Amazon as a publicly traded company. Their number one goal is to increase shareholder value. And that's what publicly traded companies do, right? And so when they came out with the ban on fake reviews, right? And they demonized, fake reviews or paid reviews or incentivized reviews and all that kind of stuff. Yes, it's good that we don't have fake reviews. There's no doubt about that. But they also turned around and monetized that on their internal platform. So it became something that, you know, sellers can no longer do is pay for reviews. But at the same time, Amazon is like um, they created their early review program, they created Vine Network, right? And so they actually monetize that on the internal. And so so they do it's kind of two faceted, right? They want to remove that potential from external parties and monetize that internally. And that's kind of what they're doing with ranking now is they see an opportunity here and they're saying, well, we don't want you to have the opportunity to rank from external traffic. We want to have all that opportunity. So you mentioned rising PPC costs. Well, the reason that's happening is because they rolled out their Q4 updates where you can't rank keywords. And so the response to that is, well, now we got to double down on PPC ads. And the result of that is 2 to 3x cost per click, right? Which is not good for third party sellers. And that's why we're trying to get a little bit of pushback and say, listen, third party sellers need to have an option, good option to drive external traffic. We understand that there is this rank manipulation aspect, and we do have to play it fair. And so the response to that is removing that and just driving traffic in a compliant way, right? They still like third party sellers are always going to need to be driving external traffic. There's no way we can just rely solely on internal traffic where your cost per click is going to be so high, it's going to chip away all of your profit margins. And it's not going to make sense to sell on that, right? It's going to be too competitive. There's 2 million third party sellers on there. If all of them are using PPC, there's not a chance that you're going to have profit margin. But at the same time, we have to make sure that, we're following Amazon's rules, right? So we can't rank manipulate anymore. So the result of that is going to be similar to what happened to reviews. They're going to crack down on that more and more with rank manipulation because they're going to be able to monetize it more internally. And so the result is, okay, finding creative and compliant ways to bring that external traffic into Amazon, into these listings that's still good enough where third person, where they're actually going to use the service, right? Because if you can't rank keywords, that's how you build up sales velocity. And so if you can't do all of that, then what's the point of bringing external traffic in? And it starts to get, a little bit questionable, right? So we're trying to basically build out a platform to bring in external traffic in any way that we can that's not going to get in that gray area of compliancy with Amazon.
Right, right. Yeah, and it's always like a tough situation to be in for sure. So I think you guys are definitely kind of spearheading this in a very professional and powerful way that I'm honestly not seeing anywhere else on the marketplace right now. So I encourage people if they're at all interested to go ahead and check them out. If you could, do you have any tips for people who are trying to launch maybe off on Amazon or off of Amazon? Things that you maybe currently see working in your network that are currently either trending or have just maybe been proven and always kind of worked for people you know and yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So what we're seeing now is really like social sharing is becoming huge. So getting your product out there with influencers and having people with 10,000 or more followers, sending your product and maybe with a little bit of discount. That's another piece of this really quickly is they don't want you buying your own product. And that means 90 to 100% off promotions. Because technically you're using a customer to buy a product, right? So if you want to do like 20 or 30% off, and then blast that to like Instagram or TikTok audience and drive traffic that way, that's becoming really big, right? Because now you're not paying for your own product and you're not pushing keyword manipulation. So those are the two big parts kind of falling back on TOS. There's two pieces here. You can't buy your own product, so you can't give it for 90 to 100% off. You can't be targeting keywords. At least you shouldn't be targeting keywords, right? So if you avoid those two things, you should be in the clear. So my suggestion is find a big network of buyers, either through influencers or through social media, and try to get your product out there. And it's not easy to do, which is why we built Brand Expand, is because we essentially spent 2 years developing the software, building up a buyer network. We have a corresponding deal site. And so we've taken all this complexity out of product launches and made it really, really simple on our platform. And so, yes, you could do all this on your own. You could set up campaigns, maybe through ManyChat. We just talked with a gentleman this morning that helps sellers set up ManyChat flows. You can do something like that. Those are still compliant as long as you're not doing 100% off. Um, and yeah, reaching out to social network, doing social sharing is going to become more and more important, and influencers is going to be big here in the future.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, I love that. So for anyone who's interested, I have a course called Launching and Reviews, and it's a 3.5 hour course specifically on launching and getting reviews. And one of the things that I mentioned in that course as well is kind of pricing. Sometimes when we price on Amazon, because of these like restricted TOS methods, as soon as you start heavily discounting publicly above 30%, you really are opening yourself up for unnecessary risk for Amazon eventually coming back and saying, "Hey, this you gave this off at 70%," and then somehow got a review. Even if you couldn't control that, that customer started doing all kinds of things without you knowing. I personally generally launch at 30% and or break even. Or coupons no more than 30% because then I kind of maintain profit margin. It's a big enough chunk, it gets them moving, but beyond that, it starts to get pretty dangerous. And when you're reaching out to clients on Facebook, or you're doing all these other ways of doing lead generation, right? You had mentioned ManyChat. ManyChat was like super. It was like the way to go for many years, right? And then I feel like ManyChat, like Facebook kind of closed that loophole, I guess you could say, in a way. They're getting more restrictive on, how often you can communicate with them. Then you have to pay to communicate with them, and you have to do customer service and all this kind of stuff, which is why doing this on your own can take an extremely large amount of time, be very expensive, and you can probably focus on other things, which for me is like you launch the next product, right? So I think what you guys have built here is extremely powerful. And then again, like the ability to drive that traffic wherever you want is beyond powerful. We talk about like there's like a migration happening from sellers looking in other channels beyond Amazon, right? We're talking Walmart now more than ever, but I feel like Shopify and the whole brand experience, that brand narrative.
Yeah, Target just opened it up, I believe, to third party sellers before it was invite only. So they're kind of going the same route. So anyway, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, this, and yeah, and I mean, and you guys have Target. Like, I get try and Google and try and find a service that go ahead that helps you, push offers out to get your target, to get your product up and moving on Target. It can be extremely hard to find. I think you even had two in there.
Yeah, and what's super exciting is I see Omni as the future. I see it as clear as day. I've seen this for since we started building the software, which is why we always knew it would be Omni. And so we're actually going to help people pull their listings off certain platforms and push into other platforms, and then help facilitate that movement of traffic in the near future. That's kind of what we're building now. And so, so you could say, okay, we're on Amazon, but that's pretty risky, right? Like a stock portfolio, you want to diversify risk by diversifying your portfolio across multiple channels. That's what you want to do here, right? You want to, and right now I get it. It's like a cost benefit, right? It takes a lot of time, opportunity cost, whatever. It takes a lot of time to get your Amazon products onto Walmart and not a lot of return on your investment. But here's the thing. Walmart is similar to Amazon back in 2012. A lot of people were still questioning it. Was it a good idea? They didn't have a lot of sales, but guess what? Everybody nowadays was like, I got on Amazon back in 2012. Walmart is positioned to do much quicker expedited shipments. Basically, they have, I think, 63,000 super centers around the US. Walmart only has, I think, 150 fulfillment centers. So you talk about who's positioned to deliver products in an hour, which is really the next step, right? Is delivering products to your door within the hour. And Walmart is positioned to do that. So they could take Amazon over as far as those expedited shipments. And they're already starting to do so, because you can see if you walk in their super centers, the front that used to be like, different barber shops or different types of like stores, those are now used for deliveries, right? And so they're basically creating mini fulfillment centers in these front stores. And I think the next step is being able to ship things out from these super centers. I have a Walmart. I think everybody has a Walmart at least 1 or 2 miles away. Like, they're going to start shipping goods to you within 30 to 60 minutes. And you want to be on Walmart when that happens, right? So it's just smart to diversify now, get ahead of the movement, so that when that all happens, you're already ahead of the game, right? And so that's kind of what I push for is omni-channel expansion. I think is the future. We're kind of at the forefront of that trend.
Right. Yeah, and it got me thinking too when you say about Walmart, WFS fulfillment, and kind of being Walmart's massive footprint. That's kind of what, if I remember correctly, Amazon was trying to roll out. Right, they're trying to get into a ton of physical stores, and I think they might have rolled back that initiative a little bit. But Walmart has something that Amazon doesn't have, and it's retail space. So, like you said, being there ahead of the wave before it comes is going to be extremely, extremely powerful. So, getting up, launched, and ranked on these platforms are gonna this is not now is the time to take action before this hits mainstream and everyone in e-commerce is talking about, you know, going omni-channel at the end of
Here's
the
the thing, Reggie, is like right now they prioritize in their search algorithm. We know that their search is prioritized by the physical units at a physical location. So, for example, if I'm looking for shampoo, they're going to show brands that are at the Walmart a mile away, right? So you want to get on there and establish yourself as an established seller so that when they do roll out this fast 30 to 60-minute delivery, you're a reputable seller that has X number of reviews and so much sales history that they might actually be stocking your units at their super center, right? So get ahead of the trend and make sure you're a reputable seller because as they grow and take out more of Amazon's market share, which is really inevitable, you're kind of positioned to dominate.
Right. Yeah, that's amazing. And it gets me thinking too, like, okay, if someone listening to this is, maybe on their first Amazon product or first e-commerce product, or maybe their second or third, but they're probably have maybe done a little bit of 3PL, trying to find an additional warehouse, right? This could be a great time when you have an MOQ of like maybe 2,000 units, but Amazon only allows you to send in 1,000 units. Well, now you can send that other thousand into Walmart and then do a combined ranking initiative omni-channel, right? You could put more of your focus on Amazon, some of it on Walmart, and you're kind of planting your flags early. So I think it's definitely a strategy worth considering and implementing now. If not just to even expand like brand awareness and kind of get your name out there.
And that's you're absolutely right. And another benefit, talk about Walmart is like Amazon in 2012. I mean, you could pay for reviews on Amazon prior to October 16. We think about that now. We're like, that's insane, right? But for Walmart, you can't pay for reviews, but we do review requests. So when we do these product launches, 2 weeks after their customer receives the product, right? So it's not incentivized. We do request that they follow up with a review. So you can still get reviews on these platforms outside of Amazon. Amazon, there's just too much scrutiny around reviews. So we just don't do it. We don't want to open ourselves up to that scrutiny. But on platforms that still have a little bit of market share of e-commerce and are trying to catch up to Amazon, they don't have nearly as many rules and regulations around the reviews, right? And so
Yeah.
get reviews while you can, because eventually they're going to be like Amazon and say, if you have a higher than a 5% review rate, we're going to flag your product. If you have, if the majority of your buyers are leaving 20 to 35-star reviews in the last 30 days, like we're going to flag the buyers, right? All of these things they're going to put into place, and it's going to be much harder to get reviews on your product. So another reason to get in early.
Oh yeah, excellent. Yeah, and it got me thinking too, like what I've been seeing for my product specifically on Walmart is you don't need to have 1,000 reviews to do well. You don't even need to have 100. I mean, like a lot of these product categories, 5 to 10 reviews makes you the guy, makes you like top dog with the fulfillment badge or a fast delivery badge and a few reviews. Like you're off to the races. So
Like garlic press days on Amazon, right?
yeah,
Product everybody used, the analogy was the garlic press, and you could launch products and like 50 reviews, your top dog on Amazon, like prior to 2015,
right. Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, it makes me think of, and it's something I kind of bring up every now and then is like my very first Amazon product. I think it was late 2015, early 2016. And my first Amazon product was a shower head. And I had taken a course and it was like the course was like, okay, like go ahead, contact all your Facebook friends, warm them up, and get reviews. So I tapped like everybody. And within 2 days, I had 40 5-star reviews on my shower head. I did all the research, page one, position one, and I just shot straight up to the top. And if anyone looks at the shower head category and at the revenue that stuff's generating, if I had, unfortunately, I was infringing on a patent. I didn't do a good enough check on the accessory that I included with it. So I eventually had to shut it down after like only 2 or 3 weeks. But the amount of revenue I was generating was absolutely insane. And that traffic now on these big ticket, big, heavy keyword search volume things, they're happening right now on other places like Walmart. They are happening on these omni channels that are only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger as more people move towards the online space.
100%. And you're absolutely right. And I believe that I believe that these as we as e-commerce kind of progresses and evolves, I think these massive behemoth channels like Amazon, Walmart, Target, eBay, Etsy. I think they're going to carve out their own special niche, right? We already know that eBay is basically a giant garage sale, right? And where people go to buy sports cards and memorabilia, right? Target is higher quality, so they actually have standards. You can't just like they don't just sell complete junk. Walmart and Amazon are kind of similar in the sense that they just want to sell the cheapest product. It's very price sensitive, and then Etsy is going to be like craft items, right? And so you're going to be like, for example, when I buy stuff for birthdays or anniversaries and stuff like that, I go to Etsy. Like I want to find something that's cute, meaningful, that was handcrafted. You know, I'm not going to go to you type in like anniversary gift on Amazon. The stuff that pops up is ridiculous. Like you would never give this to your wife. You know what I mean? But so I think that the different platforms are going to have different like niches that are going to be carved out. So if you sell high quality items, you need to get on Target. You know, if you sell crafty type items, you can get on Etsy. By the way, you don't need to handcraft items to get on Etsy, even though that's what they push for. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, that's important to keep in mind. But Amazon and Walmart are both kind of similar in the sense that it's really the cheapest product. Um, so, anyways, yeah.
Yeah, excellent. So yeah, I really appreciate your time. If anyone's at all interested in Brand Expand, what they do, I highly recommend checking out their software. They have, and one thing I really liked about it, as I went through and really dove into it, uh, and having used it now, is how flexible your pricing is. We talk about sellers just being absolutely overwhelmed with software, with inventory costs, rising PPC. You have such flexible pricing, and I thought that was, I mean, it's already kind of a steal, that, you're kind of like a la carte pricing moving forward while you're doing launches, but just being able to like sign up for a cheap monthly plan, or if you're operating at scale, because there are a lot of people moving big brands, big numbers, and you just want to like revitalize that old ASIN, or launch that kind of do that latch this effort to get it up and running. Excellent, excellent pricing. So if anyone's at all interested, Brand Expand did hook me up with a referral coupon code. So if anyone goes to reggieyoung.com/brand expand, you can automatically claim that on sign up, or just go ahead and visit brandexpand.com and check them out. So with that said, do you have any parting notes, parting advice, and where we can get in contact with you and your team?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, thanks so much for reaching out to me. I really appreciate it. Reggie, he built a seven-figure business. Dude has a ton of knowledge. He has a lot of coaching material. Like, definitely take advantage of that. Check out everything that he has. I know that I could have taken that route too, like just provide a ton of value with material, and that's kind of what you're doing. And I highly respect that. I decided to do a software, but you have a ton of material that you can provide and a ton of value, and that's equally, if not more beneficial. So check out everything that Reggie has to offer. I appreciate your time. Yeah, reach out to us you can reach out to my email directly, set@brandexpand.us, or just check out brandexpand.us, and make sure to put in Reggie's affiliate code.
Oh yes, yeah, that's right. It's .us. So brandexpand.us. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks a lot, Seth, for coming on. I really appreciate it. And everyone, best of luck on your next launch.
Thanks, Reggie. Appreciate it.
Take care.